Hi, this is Joe again with another review. For the sake of this video, we'll be discussing the 1987 legal thriller Suspect, starring Cher, Dennis Quaid, Liam Neeson before it became a big movie star. It also stars Philip Bosco as well and John Mahoney. Of course, it's ironic that Cher starred in this movie with John Mahoney because the same year in 1987 they starred in another movie together, which is I think a little more popular, called Moonstruck. Even though they never shared the same scene, but they were in the same movie together. And 1987 was a big year for Cher because not one, not two, but three films came out that year that Cher had starred in. Of course, I already just mentioned two of them. One of the subject of this video was The Suspect, Moonstruck, which I previously reviewed, and the third film was The Witches of Eastwick. So you had three films with Cher in, so this was a huge year for her. And not only that, but in the 1988 Oscars, she won the Best Actress Oscar for Moonstruck. So it was a huge year for her. But Suspect is a basic thriller, basic legal storyline that you might have seen on a power television show at the time called Matlock, or one of the Perry Mason TV movies. I mean, it's that type of a plot. You'll see one on either an episode of Matlock or one of the Perry Mason TV movies, which was pretty popular back then in 1987. Which, like I said, stars Cher as a public defender who goes out and defends Liam Neeson, who plays a bum. He refused to call him a homeless person, a bum, who was accused of murdering a legal secretary who worked for one of the Washington, D.C.'s big shots. And it was all it is a circumstantial case, but because he was homeless, and not only homeless, but he was also a deaf mute. So Liam Neeson doesn't say not one word in this whole movie. He grunts and he stares and it's all facial expressions, through the whole movie. And at first you hardly recognize it because he had a long beard and he had long hair. And of course, by the time trial starts, he cut his hair, he cleaned himself up, Cher put him in a suit, and all that. But he had to communicate through a computer. Of course, this is the 80s, so he didn't have the technology then like you do now. It would be more easy to have like a translator or something. He doesn't even know how to do sign language. Liam Neeson's character, so he had to, do like on the computer board. He had to write on they used it like a computer pen, write on this pad that would transmit it to a computer right there in the courtroom, and a court reporter would read what Liam Neeson is responding to, because the court reporter would type the questions to him, and he would respond by writing on this pad, and the court reporter would read it for the whole courtroom, for the record. And of course, Cher was at first she was reluctant to take this case, and as long as she did a little more digging and said, okay, there was a witness there who was in the area around the time of the murder and could testify that Liam Neeson didn't do it. And Liam Neeson's character says, hey, look, there was another guy running around there with a tattoo in his hand, with a cross tattoo in his hand, and he had a knife, a similar one to what I had. So they're trying to find this witness, and this guy was eventually, spoiler for those of you who didn't see this movie, he gets killed too. You didn't see who killed him, but the private investigator, or before we go into further, Dennis Quaid's character finds that he was killed in the same way as the girl that was killed. Of course, I should mention that Dennis Quaid plays a juror. He plays one of those big shot Washington D.C. Advocates. One of those high-profile Washington D.C. cronies that try and get votes for whatever bill he wants. He bribes Congress people to vote for him because he represents the milk industry, and he wants people to vote for his bills that he wants, the senators and the Congress people and Congress to propose and vote on and approve of. So it's like a big shot, like behind the scenes big shot, and so he ends up getting stuck on jury duty, and he ends up getting on this case, and he decides to go on his own to help Scheer out, because at first he didn't think this. At first he thought the guy did it, or Lee Nielsen did it, and then he decides to act on his own and investigate and communicates to Scheer, and they meet up, and of course, when it happens, of course, that's illegal. And technically, if this happens in the real world, Scheer's character would notify the judge, look, there's one of the jurors who's communicating with me, it's totally inappropriate, it's giving me information about this case. For some reason, she doesn't inform the judge that this is going on, and so, but in reality, Scheer's character would tell the judge that this is going on, and the juror, Dennis Quaid's character, would be kicked off the jury immediately and possibly given sanctions or give charges, for influencing, the court case. Well, and one judge did find out, told the other judge what's going on, and now he sequesters the whole jury, so that way they won't communicate with each other. So, but still, despite that, Dennis Quaid still gets around all that stuff to communicate with Scheer and tell what's going on. And of course, one day when Dennis Quaid goes into the homeless, or so to say the bums were, he goes and finds this like a little congressional pen, a lapel pen that the president gives out to people, and finds out that actually belongs to someone. And they figured, hey, maybe it's somebody, since he's a legal secretary, maybe somebody who's in the legal system. And either a lawyer or possibly even a judge possibly could have killed her. And then of course they did a little more digging, and they found out that the secretary was transcribing an old case from 20 years earlier, in 1968, and one of the people who was involved was actually the sitting judge on this murder trial, and got ticked off, or found out that he got, who was played by Philip Bosco, not Philip Bosco, John Mahoney. It was actually played by John Mahoney. That he got passed over for somebody else, for a scene in the higher court, and felt that this woman told him, don't promote this judge to the other court, because he fixed a trial back in 1968. So of course that gives John Mahoney's character motive to kill this girl, and eventually, of course, that's exactly what happened. Spoiler, major spoiler, that John Mahoney was the one. Originally it was going not instead who the killer was, but I figured to spoil it, say it was the judge. It was an interesting little plot twist, but soon they found out that the judge on the case was the one who possibly killed this girl, and there was a pretty good chase scene between the person who did it, I already mentioned who did it, chasing Scheer in the courthouse. And I thought that was a pretty good chase scene, and there was one particular scene where she cuts his hand, because the judge tried to kill Scheer in the same way that he killed the bum, this crazy bum, and the secretary, the same way, across the throat. And so it actually should be the other way, across the throat, because he's right-handed, and Liam Neeson's character is left-handed, and Scheer proved that in court that her client was left-handed, and of course the judge says, don't ever pull something like that again in the courtroom, because she was trying to prove he's left-handed and right-handed. So, and the murder wound was done by a person who was right-handed. So he injured it, and when Scheer confronts the judge in the courtroom, accuses him right there in the courtroom, and he does declare a mistrial, and the judge does declare a mistrial because she was accusing the judge. And you can see when he's hammering the gavel, you can see the blood trickle down his hand. So you knew that this guy, the judge, was in fact the killer. And so it was pretty interesting how they, figured it out, who really killed this girl. Like I said, it was something out of a Perry Mason episode or TV movie, or an episode of Matlock, something like that. And it's like something you didn't really expect. Because I actually expected it was the other bump who did it. And this bump did it at one point, does detect Cher, as Cher actually finds this guy and confronts him at the Union train station in Washington, D.C. So you thought that this crazy bum was the one who did it, and not, the guy who had to be the judge on the case. But I thought it was an interesting little twist. I mean, you can't see that something was up with this judge, especially when Cher at one point was asking for a continuance, and of course, the judge does eventually grant the continuance. But then they go back to court, and Cher goes, I want to cancel that because I think you're the one who did it. And she goes down the list of why Cher thinks that he's the one who did it. And of course, the judge wanted her out of the courtroom. And of course, the judge does get arrested for this. And we didn't really see the judge getting arrested. I should point that out. You didn't even see the judge getting arrested for this. But she did, got on the record, accused the judge of the murder, and of course the case got dismissed. But the problem with the end of this movie is that you didn't know what's going to happen with the Liam Neeson character. You just don't know what's going to happen with this guy. You don't know if Cher is going to try to help him, or some social service trying to help this guy to get a job, or trying to for deaf mutes to teach them how to do sign language, or any of that. You really don't know. But they kind of left you hanging there a little bit. But the movie does end on a possible romance between Dennis Quaid, who is the juror. Never fails, folks. Never fails. A possible romance between Cher and Dennis Quaid's character. I mean, you saw that at the very end of the movie. Or the last scene in the film, where Dennis Quaid visits Cher in her office, and they close the door, and he says, "Yeah, right, let's get on here in your office," type scene in the end. But as the film, I mean, I thought Cher gave a good job, even Dennis Quaid, and usually he doesn't give a great performance. He has played colorful characters in his movies, but excuse me, I thought he gave a good performance. Even John Mahoney gave a good performance, and he is I should say he was, because he passed away a couple of years ago. He gave some good episodes there, and all that type of thing. And he was a great character actor. It's a shame that he's not with us anymore. But the movie is a good movie. You have to understand this movie of its time. You can see it's a little bit dated. It's a little bit cliche because it is a whodunit, and like I said at the time, you had Perry Mason TV movies. You had the TV show Matlock with Andy Griffith. They have a similar, or almost a similar type of plot you can have in this movie, but the performances make it believable. I mean, Cher made it believable. I mean, when Cher gets good material to work off of, even though was a singer by trade, but when she gets good material, she does a good job in movies. Like in this movie, of course, Moonstruck, of course, because she won the Oscar on that. Of course, the movie Mask, which I previously reviewed, and she gives good performances. But her later movies like Mermaids, and if you want to see the movie was like so bad, but when she gets good material, like I just said, when she gets good material, she gives a great performance. And she gave a good performance in this movie. And of course, naturally, she always stares into the camera, and the way she said with the face that she has, It's like how smoking hot she was. Even though I don't like her politics, she once said she wants to move to Mars if Trump got elected president back in 2016. And 3 years later, she still hasn't moved to Mars yet. Neither all the other falling Hollywood liberals who refused to leave the country if Trump got elected. So what the hell is still doing here 3 years later? Why the hell Trump kick all these people, falling liberals out of here? And I'd like to see him do that. I'd like to see him do. Besides the illegals, kick all these Hollywood phonies out of here. Who threaten to move, kick them all out. Hey, Trump, kick all these phonies out of here. But that's another video for another day. But Cher gave a great performance in this film. So as Dennis Quaid gave a good performance in one of his better movies, telling the truth. So that's my review of the movie Suspect. Please click on the video, please rate it. Please subscribe to my channel, please forward this video onto your Facebook pages. You can check out all my reviews on my YouTube channel at rallyc.com, so WDY, and that's c.com, that's the homepage of the Rally Reviewer, Christy Moore. And please check out all of his videos on his website. Thanks for watching. Catch you next time.